The thunderclap hit like a gunshot, splitting the summer sky over Lake Michigan. And in that split second, I shoved Tyler off the dock just as the downpour unleashed its fury. His scream echoed over the waves. "What the fuck, Joe?" Before the water swallowed him whole, leaving me drenched and alone on the splintered wood, my heart pounding not from the storm, but from the secret I'd buried deeper than the silt at the bottom of the lake. Lightning forked across the black clouds, illuminating the boathouse where Mr. Harlan, Tyler's dad, stood frozen in the doorway, his broad frame silhouetted like a warning I couldn't heed. I was 19, home from my freshman year at the University of Michigan, crashing at Tyler's family's cabin in Door County for what was supposed to be a carefree week of bonfires, beers, and bullshitting about girls we weren't chasing. Tyler and I had been best friends since middle school in Milwaukee. Two gay kids navigating the straight-laced suburbs by pretending we weren't, trading furtive glances at locker room showers and late-night texts that danced around confessions. But that afternoon, as the sky bruised purple over the lake, everything cracked open. We'd been skipping stones, laughing about some dumb sorority party, when Tyler turned to me with that earnest, boyish grin and said, "You ever think about us? Like, for real?" His words hung there, fragile as the ripples fading on the water, and panic clawed up my throat. Wouldn't risk it. Not with him. Not when the one pulling at my edges wasn't his face in my dreams, but the gravelly voice calling us in for dinner every night. So I pushed him. Not hard, just enough to buy a second to breathe, but the storm didn't care about intentions. Rain hammered down in sheets, turning the dock into a slick trap, and Tyler flailed into the shallows with a splash that sounded like betrayal. I froze, the cold soaking through my jeans, my t-shirt clinging like a second skin as guilt twisted in my gut. "Ty, shit, I'm sorry," I yelled, but the wind whipped my voice away. He surfaced, sputtering, his blonde hair plastered to his forehead, eyes wide with shock and something sharper, hurt. Real hurt. He swam to the ladder, hauling himself up, water streaming off him like tears he wouldn't shed. "You're an asshole, Joseph," he spat, shoving past me toward the cabin. "Stay the hell away." I stood there, shivering in the onslaught, the lake lapping at the dock like it wanted to drag me under too. The cabin lights flickered through the trees, warm and mocking, and that's when I saw him, Mr. Harlan, stepping out onto the porch with a rain jacket half-zipped over his flannel shirt. At 45, he was the kind of man who looked carved from the Wisconsin woods. Tall, with salt and pepper hair cropped close, forearms corded from years of fixing docks and hauling firewood. He'd always been kind to me. Extra slices of pie at Thanksgiving, a knowing nod when Tyler and I stumbled in late from parties, but lately, his glances lingered. A brush of knuckles when handing me a beer. A low chuckle at my dumb jokes that made my stomach flip. "Joseph," his voice cut through the roar, steady as the lighthouse beam sweeping the horizon. He jogged down the path, boots splashing in puddles, and thrust the jacket at me. "Get in here before you catch your death. Tyler's already steaming mad. Don't give him more ammo." I hesitated, the weight of Tyler's words still stinging, but the rain was relentless, turning my skin numb. "I'm fine, mister. Just cooling off." "Bullshit." He grabbed my arm, firm, warm through the wet fabric, and tugged me toward the boathouse, the one tucked away from the main cabin, used for storing kayaks and forgotten fishing gear. Come dry off. Can't have you pneumonia and G on my watch. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of damp wood and motor oil, lit by a single hanging bulb that swung like a pendulum in the wind rattling the tin roof. He flicked on a space heater in the corner, its coils glowing orange, and rummaged in a bin for towels. I peeled off my shirt, wringing it out over a bucket, hyper-aware of my bare chest prickling in the chill. Water dripped from my hair onto the concrete floor, each plink echoing like a countdown. Mr. Harlan, David, he'd insisted I call him last summer, tossed me a towel, his eyes flicking down for a heartbeat too long before snapping back to my face. You two fighting over something stupid? He asked, leaning against a workbench cluttered with tools, crossing his arms over his chest. His shirt strained against the breadth of him, sleeves rolled to his elbows, revealing the faded tattoo of an anchor from his Navy days. I scrubbed at my hair, avoiding his gaze. Yeah. Stupid as hell. The lie tasted bitter. Tyler's question wasn't stupid. It was the truth I'd been dodging since puberty hit, and I realized the crushes I nursed weren't on cheerleaders, but on the linebackers tackling them. And lately, not even on guys my age. On men. Like the one watching me now, his jaw set in that quiet concern that made him seem unbreakable. He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck, a gesture I'd memorized from watching him through cabin windows, chopping wood at dawn. Tyler's got a temper like his old man. But your family, kid. Whatever it is, it'll blow over, kid. The word landed like a slap, even as heat bloomed low in my belly from the way his voice wrapped around it. I dropped the towel, forcing a laugh that came out ragged. Not this time. Maybe. David's eyes narrowed, searching, and for a moment, the space between us crackled louder than the thunder outside. He pushed off the bench, closing the gap in 2 strides, and handed me a dry sweatshirt from the bin, by the faint scent of pine soap and leather. Put this on. And talk to me. You've been jumpy as a cat all week. I pulled it over my head, the fabric soft and oversized, swallowing me whole. It smelled like him, and God, that did something dangerous to my resolve. It's nothing. Just lake fever, I guess. He didn't buy it. His hand landed on my shoulder, thumb brushing the nape of my neck in what was probably meant to be fatherly reassurance, but it ignited something feral in me. I looked up, and there it was, that flicker in his hazel eyes, mirror to my own, the one that said he saw me. Not the kid tagging along with his son, but the man aching underneath. Joseph, he murmured, voice dropping low, you don't have to carry it alone. The dam broke then, words tumbling out before I could stop them. The confusion, the fear, the way Tyler's confession had cracked open the vault I'd sealed shut. How I'd pushed him because I couldn't admit it wasn't him I wanted. Not like that. David's face shifted, surprise giving way to something raw, unguarded. His grip tightened, pulling me closer, and when our foreheads touched, rain-slick skin to skin, the world narrowed to the heat of his breath mingling with mine. Christ, he whispered, I've been waiting for you to say it. His lips found mine in the dim glow of the heater, tentative at first, then hungry, like a man starved in the woods, finally sighting fire. I kissed back with everything I'd bottled up, the stolen glances at his broad back bending over the grill, the ache of watching him laugh with Tyler while I sat on the sidelines, invisible. His hands roamed, calloused palms mapping my ribs, my hips, drawing a gasp from me that he swallowed whole. The boathouse spun, the storm outside a symphony to the one building between us, and for those stolen minutes, betrayal be damned, I was alive. But reality crashed in with Tyler's shout from the path. Dad? Joe's out here. Wait. What the hell? We sprang apart, hearts hammering, David's face paling as he shoved me behind a stack of life jackets. Tyler burst through the door, soaked anew, eyes wild. I thought you were drying off. What's? He stopped, nostrils flaring like he'd caught the scent of smoke. His gaze darted to the rumpled towel, my discarded wet shirt, the flush creeping up David's neck. No. Fucking no. Ty. Listen. David started, voice steady but strained. But Tyler's laugh was bitter, broken. You? With him? My best friend? God, I should have known. All those looks, the way you hovered. You're disgusting. He whirled on me, betrayal carving lines into his young face. And you after I. Fuck you both. He stormed out, slamming the door so hard the bulb shattered, plunging us into shadows pierced only by lightning flashes. David cursed, lunging for the knob, but I grabbed his arm. Let him go. He needs time. David turned, cupping my face with hands that trembled now. This is my fault. I should've. No. I pressed my thumb to his lips, silencing the spiral. It's ours. We didn't speak of consequences that night. Instead, we waited out the storm in the boathouse, bodies entwined on a nest of tarps, whispers weaving promises in the dark. His touch was reverent, exploring with a gentleness that belied his size, fingers tracing the freckles across my collarbone, lips murmuring my name like a prayer. I learned him too. The scar on his rib from a bar fight in his 20s, the way his breath hitched when I nipped at his earlobe. It was messy, urgent, two souls colliding after years of silent orbiting. When dawn broke, gray light filtering through cracks in the walls, we dressed in silence, the weight of the unspoken settling like dew. Tyler was gone when we emerged. His truck vanished from the drive, a note scrawled on the kitchen counter, "Don't follow me. Ever." My phone buzzed with blocked numbers, voicemails I couldn't access. David's face crumpled as he read it, the unbreakable man fracturing before me. He'll come around, I lied, pulling him into a hug that smelled of regret and rain-damp flannel. But he didn't. Days blurred into a tense limbo at the cabin, the lake mocking us with its serene surface while storms brewed inside. David threw himself into repairs, sanding the dock where it all began, his hammer strikes echoing like accusations. I'd watch from the porch, nursing coffees that went cold, replaying Tyler's face, the boy I'd protected in high school hallways, now the man I'd shattered. Guilt gnawed at me, but so did the pull toward David, the way he'd leave wildflowers on my pillow, stolen from the woods, or hum old Springsteen tunes while cooking breakfast, his voice rough and tender. One evening, as fireflies danced over the water, he found me on the dock, skipping stones with hands that shook. "Can't sleep?" he asked, settling beside me, our thighs brushing. "Nightmares," I admitted. Tyler's voice. Over and over. David draped an arm around my shoulders, pulling me close. His warmth seeped through, chasing shadows. I lost my wife to cancer when Ty was 10. Watched her fade, helpless. Swore I'd never let fear steal another moment. He paused, chin resting on my head. But this, loving you, it's the first time I've felt alive since. My chest tightened, tears pricking. I love you too. But what if he never forgives? Then we build anyway. His kiss was salt-tanged, fierce. Brick by goddamn brick. We did, in stolen fragments. Midnight drives to hidden coves where we'd park and lose ourselves in the truck's cab. Fogged windows hiding our gasps. Lazy Sundays tangled in sheets. His laughter rumbling as I traced tattoos with lazy fingers. An arbor called me back to classes, but weekends became pilgrimages north, the highway unspooling like a lifeline. David visited once, awkward in khakis among frat boys, but his hand on my knee under the diner table grounded me. Proud of you, kid. No, Joseph, he'd say, eyes shining. But betrayal festers. Tyler resurfaced in fragments. A drunk dial at 2 a.m., slurring traitor before hanging up, anonymous posts on our old gaming forum, outing whispers that rippled through mutual friends. The climax hit during fall break, when I drove up unannounced, craving David's arms after a brutal midterm week. The cabin was dark, truck absent, but his boat bobbed in the slip. I found him in the boathouse, bottle of bourbon half empty, staring at a photo him, Tyler, and his late wife, beaming on this very dock. Joseph, his voice cracked, eyes red-rimmed. Ty called. Said he's done with me, with us. Moving to Chicago after graduation. Blames me for everything. I knelt before him, taking the bottle away. He's hurting. Like we are. David's laugh was hollow. I betrayed him first. By wanting you when I shouldn't. The words sliced deep. You think this was wrong? He cupped my jaw, thumb stroking my cheek. No. But the cost. We made love there on the cold floor, desperate and slow, bodies a bulwark against the fracturing world. His confessions spilled with each thrust, how he'd noticed me years ago, fighting the pull as I grew into my skin. The loneliness of widowhood, nights scrolling Grindr then deleting the app in shame. I bared mine too. The terror of coming out in a family that prayed away rainbows, the way Tyler's friendship had been my anchor until David became my North Star. Dawn brought resolve. We drove to Chicago, uninvited, to Tyler's cramped apartment above a dive bar. He opened the door in boxers, reeking of stale weed, fury etching his features. Get out, please, David begged, voice breaking. Just hear us, Tyler sneered, but his eyes, those eyes so like his father's, flickered with pain. You stole my best friend. My dad. What am I supposed to say? Congrats. I didn't steal, I whispered, stepping forward. I fell. Hard. And it terrifies me that I lost you in the process. The room hung heavy, accusations flying like shrapnel. Tyler railing about abandonment, David owning his blindness to his son's feelings, me confessing the push on the dock as panic, not rejection. Hours bled into catharsis. Tears, shouts, a hug from David that Tyler resisted then collapsed into. I loved you, Joe, he admitted finally, voice small. But seeing you with him, it gutted me. I know, I said, throat tight. And I'm sorry. But I can't unlove him. Tyler pulled back, wiping his face. Doesn't mean we're done. Family's messier than that. We left with tentative peace, a group text chain reborn, promises of therapy for all. Back at the cabin, David and I stood on the dock, the lake glass calm under autumn stars. His arm around my waist, I leaned into him, the future uncertain but shared. Everything changed that day, he murmured, kissing my temple. For the better, I replied, and for the first time, I believed it. Love wasn't a storm to weather. It was the shore we washed up on, scarred but standing. Human, flawed, and fiercely ours. Winter clamped down on Door County like a vice, snow drifting high against the cabin windows, turning the world into a muffled white dream. I'd aced my midterms, but the real test was this, navigating us through the holidays without Tyler bolting again. He showed up Christmas Eve, tentative in a beanie pulled low, arms laden with pie from his mom's old recipe. David's face lit up like the tree we'd half-assed decorating, and for a night, we were almost normal. Laughter over eggnog, Tyler ribbing me about my dad bod, already forming from David's cooking. But under the tree's glow, his eyes darted between us. Wary, weighing. Later, as flakes swirled outside, Tyler cornered me by the wood stove. "You're happy, huh?" His voice was low, edged with something unresolved. "Yeah," I said, poking at the logs, sparks flying like warnings. "You," he shrugged, staring into the flames. "Chicago's fine. Job at that startup sucks. But the guys, there's this one, Marco. Artist type, a ghost of a smile. Makes me forget sometimes." Relief flooded me, mixed with a pang. "Good. You deserve that." He nodded, then punched my arm hard enough to bruise. "Don't fuck it up with Dad. He's tougher than he looks, but..." Yeah, we clinked beers, the truce holding fragile as the ice on the lake. David watched from the kitchen, drying dishes, his gaze soft with gratitude. That night, after Tyler crashed on the couch, David slipped into my room, our room now, officially, with a drawer for my clothes and a side of the bed warmed by his bulk. We moved quiet, mindful of creaks, his mouth hot on my neck as he whispered, "Love seeing you two like that. Makes this real." It was. Spring thaw brought longer visits, the cabin blooming with David's tulips and my half-hearted attempts at grilling. We talked futures. My poli-sci degree funneling toward law school dreams, his quiet wish to retire early, maybe buy a place down south where winters didn't bite so hard. "With you," he'd add, fingers laced in mine during sunset walks, the lake whispering approvals. But conflict simmered beneath the idol. Tyler's truce frayed at the edges, skipped calls, curt texts. Then, in May, a bombshell. He was coming home for Memorial Day, bringing Marco. "Test run," he texted me. "Don't make it weird." We didn't plan to. The grill smoked with burgers, beers chilled in the cooler, laughter echoing as Marco, tall, tattooed, with a Puerto Rican lilt and easy charm, charmed David with stories of Chicago murals. Tyler relaxed, arms slung over Marco's shoulders, and for hours, felt like victory. Until dusk, when the fire pit crackled and shadows lengthened. Marco was inside grabbing wood when Tyler leaned in, voice slurred from IPAs. "You know, I get it now. Why you chose him." His eyes flicked to David, flipping marshmallows. "Power. Stability. Whatever the fuck gay boys chase when they grow up." I stiffened, the old guilt twisting. Ty, not tonight. He laughed, sharp. Nah, it's cool. Marco's fun. But Dad, you're playing house with the king. David called us over then, oblivious, but Tyler's words lodged like a splinter. That night, as Marco and Tyler tumbled into the guest room giggling, David and I lay awake, his hand stroking my hair. He's struggling, David murmured. Give him grace. I whispered, but doubt crept in. Was this power? Some Oedipal bullshit Tyler saw that I didn't? David's snores soon rumbled, but sleep evaded me, the lake's dark expanse outside mocking my unrest. The betrayal came swift as a summer squall. 2 weeks later, mid-June, I was buried in internship applications when my phone lit up. Not Tyler's name, but a mutual friend from Milwaukee. Dude, check this. Ty's blowing up the group chat. Screenshots flooded in. Tyler's posts on Instagram stories. Rants blurred by filters but legible. Family's a lie when your dad's banging your ex-bestie. Blood don't mean shit. Then, worse. A photo of David and me from Christmas. Cropped to look illicit. Captioned creep alert. Comments piled on. Old high school buds piling judgment. A few aunts chiming in with Bible verses. My hands shook as I scrolled, nausea rising. David was at the hardware store when I called, voice steady despite the quake in mine. Come home. Now. He barreled through the door an hour later, face ashen as I shoved the phone at him. He outed us. To everyone. David sank onto the couch, rubbing his temples. God damn it, Ty. Why? Hurt warred with fury in his eyes, but beneath it, fear, the small-town whispers that could cost him dock-building contracts, the church friends who'd pat his back then pray behind it. Paced, rage boiling. We confront him. Tonight, the drive to Chicago was silent fury, rain lashing the windshield like accusations. Tyler's apartment buzzed with bass from a party below, but he answered shirtless, reeking of sweat and spite. Marco hovered behind, eyes wide. What the hell, son? David growled, shoving past into the dim living room littered with empties. Tyler crossed his arms, defiant. Truth hurts, Dad. You think hiding it makes it okay? Parading around like some Hallmark romance while You're the one who brought him here. I exploded, jabbing a finger. Invited us into your life. Then torch it. His face crumpled, Boo's bravery cracking. You don't get it. Every time I see you two. It's like losing Mom all over. You replaced us with him. David recoiled, the air sucked out. Replaced? Jesus. Tyler, you're my blood. Joseph, he trailed off, voice thick. Marco stepped in, hand on Tyler's shoulder. Babe, maybe cool it, but Tyler shrugged him off, tears streaking. I loved you first, Joe. And you picked the safe bet. The dad who won't leave you like mine did. The room spun. David's wife, Tyler's mom, hadn't left. Cancer had stolen her. But in Tyler's fractured lens, grief twisted it into abandonment, and now us into echoes. I reached for him, but he flinched. Get out. All of you. We left in shards. David white-knuckling the wheel, me staring at blurring taillights. Back at the cabin, he poured whiskey neat, slamming the glass down. I failed him. Poured all my love into you, and he's drowning. No. I pulled him close, his body rigid then yielding, sobs muffled in my shoulder. We're fixing this. Together. That night, we clung fierce, his desperation pouring into every touch, nails raking my back, hips grinding with a need that bordered pain. Don't leave me, he gasped, as if I could. Dawn found us bruised, bonded deeper in the wreckage. The climax built over July, sweltering heat mirroring the boil. Tyler ghosted us, Marco texting apologies on his behalf. David withdrew, hammering nails till his hands blistered, while I buried in books, essays on civil rights ringing hollow against our private war. Then, lightning. A call from Tyler's boss. Overheard rant at work. Tyler fired, spiraling into bars and bad choices. We drove again, this time to a dingy ER in Wicker Park. Tyler, bandaged wrist from a fall, eyes hollow as he signed discharge papers. David enveloped him in a bear hug. Tyler didn't fight, and in the sterile waiting room, truth spilled. Tyler's fear of losing David like he lost his mom. My guilt over the doc push as the spark that ignited it all. David's admission. He'd loved me since I was 17, fighting it till that rainy day. Forgive me, David whispered, holding his son like glass. Tyler nodded, exhausted. Trying. For you both. Rehab followed for Tyler, Marco steadfast at his side. We visited weekly, the cabin a revolving door of recovery meetings and quiet suppers. August waned, leaves hinting gold, and one evening by the fire pit, Tyler raised a soda. To fucked up families. And the ones we choose. Glasses clinked. Soda, beer, hope. David squeezed my knee under the blanket, his smile weary but whole. As summer faded, so did the sharp edges. Tyler landed a gig at a Milwaukee coffee shop, Marco tagging along for weekends. David and I stole moments, a weekend in Madison, wandering State Street hand in hidden hand. Lazy lake swims where he'd dunk me, laughing till we gasped for air. Love deepened, humanistic in its grit. Arguments over dishes dissolving into make-up sex on the counter. Quiet talks of adoption dreams or fostering kids like us, lost in the system. Betrayal's scar remained, a reminder that trust rebuilds slow. But in October, under harvest moon, David proposed on the dock. Not with rings, but with a simple anchor pendant, twin to his tattoo. Anchor me, Joseph. I kissed him salt-sweet. Always. Tyler's text that night. Heard the news. 'Bout time. Drinks soon? The lakeside approval. Waves lapping gentle. Everything had changed, shattered, reformed, humanly imperfect. And in that, profoundly right. Autumn's chill nipped at Door County's edges, painting the maples in fire, but inside the cabin, warmth bloomed tentative and true. Tyler's integration was a dance, 2 steps forward, 1 back, marked by group hikes where he'd rib me about my city soft feet, or bonfire confessions over Esmores, Marco strumming guitar to Dylan covers. David watched it all with a father's quiet awe, his hand finding mine under picnic tables, a secret Morse code of squeezes, we're okay. My senior year ramped up, and Arbor a 2-hour blur of lectures and late-night study sessions fueled by David's care packages. Jerky, notes scrawled in block letters. Kick-ass, love. Holidays anchored us. Thanksgiving with Tyler's tentative in-laws-to-be. Awkward but earnest. Marco's abuelita eyeing David and me with shrewd warmth. Amor es amor, she toasted, clinking her wineglass, and Tyler rolled his eyes but smiled. Yet undercurrents pulled. December brought David's annual checkup routine. He swore, but the call came mid-shaze by the Christmas tree. Prostate screening flagged something. Benign, the doc said, but shadows lingered in David's eyes, echoes of his wife's battle. That night, in our bed, he held me fierce, lips trailing my spine. Lost too much already. Can't lose this. You won't, I vowed, turning to claim him slow, reverent, tongues mapping scars, hands coaxing gasps that built to shudders. His release was a whisper of my name, vulnerability bared, and in the afterglow, we talked legacies. Not bloodlines, but the humanism of chosen paths, mentoring at the local LGBTQ center, volunteering for PFLAG, building a life that defied the betrayals we'd weathered. New Year's Eve, we rang in at a Milwaukee queer bar, Tyler and Marco dragging us to the dance floor. Bodies pressed close, bass thumping, David's hips grinding mine in rhythm that promised more. Tyler caught my eye over the crowd, raising his drink, no judgment, just joy. Betrayal's ghost faded further, replaced by brotherhood reborn. Spring semester hit like a gale, my thesis on queer rights in the Rust Belt consuming nights. David drove down for my presentation, sitting front row in his best button-down, pride beaming as I fielded questions on Stonewall's echoes in Milwaukee Pride marches. Afterward, in the dorm parking lot, he pulled me into the truck cab, fogging windows with urgent kisses. Brilliant, baby. So damn brilliant. We tumbled back to his place, a rental near campus for my crunch time. Body slick with need, his mouth worshipping every inch, knees to collarbone, drawing moans that echoed off bare walls. Marry me proper? He growled against my thigh, teeth grazing. Rings, vows, the works. Yes, I gasped, arching into him, our rhythm frantic, loving, climax crashing like waves, leaving us tangled and spent. Wedding plans wove through summer, small, lakeside, with Tyler as best man and Marco officiating in a nod to his theater days. Invites went to a handful. My estranged folks declined with a curt prayers, but Tyler's extended family showed, rainbow pins glinting. Rehearsal dinner devolved into toasts. David's Navy buddy cracking dirty limericks, my old prof lauding our narrative arc, Tyler's speech gut-punched. Joe was my first love. Platonic, sure, but real. Losing that hurt like hell. But seeing you two, it's the redemption I didn't know I needed. Tears flowed, hugs fierce. That night, in the boathouse, full circle, David and I stole away, the scent of fresh varnish mingling with our sweat. His hands pinned mine above my head, slow thrusts building to a crescendo that left us boneless, staring at stars through the skylight. Forever starts now, he murmured, and I believed it, bone deep. The ceremony dawned golden, July heat shimmering off the lake. Vows exchanged on the dock. David's voice gravel rough. You soaked my world that rainy day, Joseph. Promised to dry you off, but you thawed me instead. I vow to weather every storm with you. Fierce, flawed, and full-hearted. Mine cracked. You saw me when I was invisible, loved me through the mess. I'll anchor you. Always no betrayals, just us. Rings slid on. Simple titanium bands etched with waves, and the kiss sealed it. Cheers erupting. Tyler whooping loudest. Reception spilled into the cabin yard. Picnic tables groaning under potluck. A playlist of Springsteen and Hozier. Dances under string lights. Tyler pulled David aside for a father-son sway. Marco and I joining for a tipsy conga line that dissolved into laughter. But climax loomed, unbidden. Midway through cake, David's lopsided chocolate monstrosity. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Voicemail. Tyler's voice. Frantic. Joe. Dad, Marco's folks just called. His abuela had a stroke. Bad. We're heading to San Juan tonight. Chaos rippled. Marco's face drained. Tyler's arm around him like a lifeline. We rallied, David canceling the DJ. Me packing go bags. The party morphing into a send-off prayer circle under the moon. Go, David urged, clasping Marco's hand. Family first. They left at midnight, taillights fading, leaving echoes of joy soured by worry. David and I cleaned in silence, confetti crunching underfoot, the high crashing into hollow. In bed, he curled around me, breath ragged. What if? Shoo! I kissed his jaw. We'll fly down if needed. Together. Dawn brought news. Abuela stabilized, but the scare lingered. Tyler called from the airport, voice steadier. Thanks for everything. Weddings and wipeouts. Love you guys. Relief washed us, but it underscored fragility. Love's humanism in the face of loss. Betrayal's shadow yielding to solidarity. We honeymooned local. A week at a peninsula B&B, kayaking hidden inlets, nights lost in each other. David's touch grew surer, exploratory, fingers teasing new boundaries, my gasps spurring him to wicked grins. Mrs. Harlan. He'd tease post-climax, and I'd swat him, laughing, the ring glinting like promise. Fall brought changes. My law school acceptance to UW-Madison, closer to Door County. David's semi-retirement, handing the business to a protege. Tyler and Marco relocated to Milwaukee, Abuela recovering in a sunlit Puerto Rican villa they visited monthly. Holidays healed further, Thanksgiving with extended kin, my folks' absence a scar fading under new bonds. Yet conflict stirred subtle. David's ex-Navy pal, visiting for a fishing trip, cornered me dockside. Heard the stories, kid. Tyler's meltdown, rough on the old man, his tone probed, laced with old-school machismo. You sure you're not just the rebound? I bristled, rod trembling. Rebound? We've built this. Brick by brick. He clapped my shoulder. Gruff. Fair. Just protect him. He's been through hell. The words echoed, fueling a quiet resolve. That night, over trout grilled lakeside, I toasted David. To the man who dried me off and kept me warm since. His eyes misted, hands squeezing mine under the table. Tyler, visiting with Marco, caught it, smirking. Sappy bastards. Winter deepened our roots. Joint therapy sessions unpacking doc day traumas. Tyler opening up about his mom's deathbed whispers of love wide. Betrayal transformed. Tyler's posts now advocacy. Sharing our story anonymized for queer youth forums. Out of the ashes, he captioned one. A phoenix emoji winking. Climax crested in February. A blizzard trapping us all at the cabin. Power out. Generator humming. Candles flickered. Stories spun. David's Navy escapades. Tyler's Chicago Wild Nights, Marco's Abuela Tales of Santeria Saints. Huddled under quilts, David's arm around me, Tyler's head on Marco's lap. We confessed deepest fears. Mine of abandonment, David's of irrelevance, Tyler's of unworthiness. "Fuck that," Tyler slurred, passing the flask. "We're unbreakable now." Dawn broke white and wondrous, drifts sculpting the lake into fantasy. Shoveling out together, laughter echoing, I realized this was the peak, not destruction, but defiant joy. Spring unfurled, pregnant with possibility. David and I'd fostering teens like young me, adrift in suburbs. Tyler proposed to Marco on the dock. Full circle, our rings witnesses. "Your turn to get soaked," I teased, hugging him tight. As lilacs bloomed, David and I walked the shore, hands clasped. "Everything changed that day," he said, echoing our origin. I smiled, leaning in. "And keeps changing." For us, humanity's core, love as verb, messy and mending. We'd been betrayed, but emerged woven tighter, a tapestry of storms weathered, shores claimed. Summers returned to Door County carried a languid grace, the lake a mirror to skies unmarred. But beneath the calm, our lives pulsed with purpose. Law school beckoned in fall, Madison's brick arches a new horizon, but weekends anchored us north. David's truck laden with my textbooks, his kisses lingering at drop-offs. "Conquer, counselor," he'd murmur, and I'd drive away buzzing, the pendant necklace our anchor warm against my chest. Tyler's engagement bloomed vibrant, a joint wedding with Marco's family traditions, blending Milwaukee polka with Puerto Rican bamba drums. We dove in, David officiating, me wrangling RSVPs, the cabin hosting pre-wedding bonfires where toasts turned tearful. To second chances, Tyler raised his glass, eyes on me. And the push that started it all. Laughter rippled, but later, by the fire's dying embers, he pulled me aside. "Still sorry about the posts." The rage. "Forgiven ages ago," I said, clinking bottles. "You gave us our story." He nodded, glancing at David and Marco, heads bent in quiet talk. "Yeah." "And mine." August brought the fostering classes, grueling weekends of role plays and trauma seminars, David's hand steady in mine through the hard parts. "We'll be good at this," he said after one, voice thick. "Give them what we didn't have." Our first placement arrived in September. Eli, 16, all sharp edges and guarded eyes, yanked from a Milwaukee group home after coming out to intolerant foster parents. He slouched into the cabin, duffel clutched like armor, scanning us with suspicion. "So, you're the gay dads? Weird." David chuckled, offering a hand. "Weird works." Hungry, Eli thawed slow. First over burgers charred just right, then late-night video games where he'd trash-talk till David joined, controller battles ending in groans and grins. Bedtime talks in the den, my law stories meshing with his dreams of graphic novels. Revealed cracks, beatings for acting girly, nights on park benches. "You believe in second acts?" he asked one storm-lashed evening, thunder rumbling like old fears. "Every day," I replied, and David's arm around his shoulders sealed it. Conflict crested mid-semester, Eli's old life intruding like a squall. His biodad surfaced, drunk, demanding custody at a supervised visit. Ranting about turning my boy queer, Eli spiraled, skipping school, sneaking smokes on the dock. One night, I found him there, staring into black water, echoes of my own dock day panic. "Wanna talk?" I sat beside him, coat offered against the chill. He shrugged, but words spilled. Rage at the betrayal, fear we'd tire of him like the rest. "You're too perfect. It'll blow up." David joined us then, silent sentinel, and together we unpacked it, no sugarcoating the mess, just raw truth of our scars. Tyler's rage, my push, David's lonely years. "We chose you," David said, voice gravel steady. Blow-ups and all. Eli's tears came then, hot and hidden, and the hug that followed mended something ancient in us all. Therapy followed. Group hikes with Tyler, who bonded instant over shared suburb survival, turning Eli's edges soft. Climax unfolded Thanksgiving week. Eli's dad escalated, showing at the cabin unannounced, pounding the door with slurs. David answered calm, body blocking, while I herded Eli upstairs. "He's not taking you," I whispered, phone dialing cops. Tyler arrived mid-siren, Marco in tow, a wall of family barring the man. Court followed swift, restraining order, custody hearings where my pro bono clinic prof advocated fierce. Victory came in December, Eli ours, provisional, the judge's gavel a benediction. Celebration spilled lakeside, bonfire roaring, Eli's sketchpad open to caricatures of us. David as grizzled captain, me as bespectacled pirate, Tyler and Marco as mischievous mates. "Family portrait," he grinned, and hugs circled, the lake witnessing. Winter wove deeper bonds. Eli's art show at school, David's retirement party with dockside toasts, my law clinic win for a trans client echoing our ethos. Love with David evolved, less urgent fire, more enduring ember. Morning coffees with footsies under the table, slow dances in the kitchen to Coltrane, nights where touch spoke volumes, his fingers lacing mine as sleep claimed us. Betrayal's final echo came spring. A letter from my parents, postmarked Milwaukee. "We've prayed. Seen the news of your union. Forgiveness is divine, but acceptance, pray harder." The stung, but David burned it in the fire pit, ashes scattering on wind. "Their loss," he said, pulling me close. "Our gain," Eli overheard, piping up, "Screw him. We've got pie," laughter healed, humanistic in its simplicity. Summer crested with Tyler's wedding, a riot of color on the lake beach, veils fluttering like sails, drums pulsing to vows exchanged in Spanglish poetry. David teared up beside me, whispering, "Our boys all grown." Reception danced till dawn, Eli DJing with flair, and as stars wheeled, Tyler pulled us into a sway. "Doc Day's the best bad decision ever," he said, and we toasted to that truth. Eli's adoption finalized in August, court papers signed dockside, the lake our witness anew. "Harlan," he tested, grinning. "Fitz." Fall found us settled. My clerkship in Green Bay, David's woodworking shop mentoring queer youth, Eli thriving in art classes. Evenings, we'd gather, Tyler's crew dropping by, Marco's bomba lessons turning the living room chaotic. One crisp night, fireflies winking, David and I slipped away to the boathouse, its walls now lined with Eli's murals, waves crashing into rainbows. 10 years since that storm, he mused, hands on my hips, pulling me flush. Feels like yesterday. Kissed him deep, bodies remembering, slow grind, gasps building to that familiar crest. Release a symphony of us. After, tangled on the old tarps, he traced my ring. Everything changed because you came to dry off. I smiled, heart full, and stayed soaked in you. The ending unfolded not in tragedy, but quiet triumph. A life stitched from betrayals mended, conflicts resolved in grace. Tyler's family grew, nieces with tiny pride flags, Eli's first gallery show, themes of chosen shores. My folks softened slow, a birthday card hinting cracks, but we didn't wait, our circle complete, humanistic core beating strong. Under November's harvest moon, full a decade from that thunderous day, we stood on the dock, David, me, Tyler, Marco, Eli, kin woven wide. The lake lapped gentle, stars pricking the velvet sky. To getting soaked, David toasted, arm around me. And drying off together, I added, glasses clinking. Laughter rose, a chorus against the night. Everything had changed irrevocably, beautifully. In America's heartland, where storms brew fierce but sunrises heal, we'd claimed our story. Dramatic, emotional, romantic, profoundly human. And in that, eternal,